after the convening of the electorate for the twin elections, the Cameroon Resistance Movement, through Professor Maurice Kamto, had told all his militants to compile documents. And we saw all the headache that was involved, the refusal of administrative authorities to, in fact, do everything to sign our documents, but we had it hard to get documents signed. And of course, when it came to one day to the day of conclusion of the compilation, the national president had to convene the national council of the party on the last day of compilation to file in. So when we came in the national council of the party, which is an organ higher than the national executive, because after the convention is the national council, then the national directorate. So this council sat. The point which was put on its agenda was whether we can go in for the elections. The council unanimously said we can't go in for these elections for the following reasons. One, that the crisis that rocks the northwest and southwest region is that which does not permit free and fair elections, because insecurity is at its highest. So for this reason, after sounding the opinion of all delegates from the 10 regions and the 360 subdivisions, the party took the decision not to go in for the municipal and legislative elections. To that regard, the national president decided to set up a 10-man team in all 10 regions to go and explain the message to people, Cameroonians, sympathizers and supporters of the Cameroon Renaissance movement as to why we are not going in for the elections. And so that was the mission. As head of delegation for the Northwest region, took me to the Northwest region last week. I convened all the divisional delegates of the party, subdivisional delegates of the party, and officials at local levels in Bamenda. I did that because the directive of the national president was to go in all the divisions and subdivisions in order to meet the people, talk to them one-to-one. But we decided to call the officers of the party in those 7 divisions which converge in Bamenda. And in Bamenda, we now inform them of the declaration they have been hearing, because the declaration was that we are boycotting the twin elections of February 9, 2018, because there is serious insecurity and there is serious civil war going on in the northern and southwest region. And we are not party to dividing this country into two. We are not party to dividing this country into two, because any attempt for the CRM to go for this election will be dividing the country or accepting that the country should be separated into two. So for that reason, we refused categorically not to go for the elections. That was point number 1. Point number 2, we have assisted in 2 elections, the twin election of 2013 and the presidential election in 2018. And we have discovered that there were a lot of administrative lapses. 1, the electoral code is not good. 2, the election governing bodies like ELECAM and territorial administration, in fact, everybody works in favor of government. So the institutions governing elections equally are all CPDM, whereas the law is very clear. ELECAM should have representative of political parties, which is not the case. All of ELECAM is CPDM made. The Constitutional Council, which came recently to act over election issues, equally is all CPDM, because they are members of Central Committee, which we raised in the last presidential elections, and they had to pipe it down. You see the violation of the rights of Cameroonians politically. And of course, CRM has been refused systematically to carry out its political activities. They have banned our meetings. We have more than 100 and something refusals from subdivisional officers after the release of Maurice Kamto in prison. And even when Maurice Kamto had to go for a peaceful march in January the 26th, he was arrested June 1st, June 8th. Cameroonians were arrested because they were crying for an election that was rigged. The atmosphere is not conducive for any elections. The separatists are where they are, defending themselves, is because the government is very adamant, arrogant, and does not want to listen to the people. So, globally, this is the message. Our brothers of the Northwest and Southwest are in the bushes. How will election hold when people are in the bushes? Our brothers and sisters are in foreign lands. How will election hold when general amnesty has not been granted for them to come over from Nigeria and all over the world? Cameroonians have run away from political reprisals. Again, looking at it administratively, Elekam is not found in the Northwest and Southwest region in certain far-off rural areas because they are being haunted and they are being chased out by separatist defenders. Again, administrative authorities do not operate. Recently, there was the presidential decree announcing and promoting people from sub-divisional officers to divisional officers, governors, and all of that. They could not equally take office. If you see the masquerade that happened in the taking over of office in the Northwest and Southwest region, it is a shame. Meaning, you will see a sub-divisional officer outgoing, a divisional officer incoming with 2 police, bees, and military people around him. That is not the population of the area. It shows that there is total insecurity that reigns in those areas. And of course, elections cannot hold. For elections to hold without any hitch and for us to participate is, 1, to make sure the government withdraw all its troops and announce a ceasefire in the North and South, because they kill every day as I speak. They kill up to this moment that I'm talking, they are killing in the North and Southwest regions, in the rural areas. 2, the government should be able now to make sure it releases all those Anglophones arrested in the course of this crisis, including the Ayuk Tabes and the government that are in prison. Thirdly, the government should be able to accept an all-inclusive dialogue that the Cameroon Renaissance Movement through Professor Maurice Kamto has been proning, and other political parties, civil society organizations, regional organizations, international organizations. We have all said it. The government does not want to yield. And so, therefore, we cannot imagine in this election for CRM found it impossible to put candidates in Bamenda. We had it only in Bengue and in Meza. That is not the Northwest region. We tried, it came, but we said no, don't go in, because our interest is not the interest of self. Our interest is the general interest. And so, if our brothers and sisters of the Northwest, Southwest region are not participating, exercising their civil and political rights, therefore there is a problem and we cannot go in for these elections. We are doing this in solidarity with the Northwest and Southwest region so that peace should come back. And the only responsible person charged to bring this set peace is not a political party, it's not an NGO, it's not any forum. It is the government to be able to sit and say, yes, there is a problem, and this problem, we have to solve it this way. The conditions are there. It is clear. And we can't go in. This is the message we took to our people. The last point, which is number 4, is that we have said, given that the CRM have elaborated all of this to Cameroonians, we are calling on them to boycott the 9th February 2020 elections, because the elections lack legitimacy. It lacks content, it lacks the people, and it lacks the raison d'etre. So, we are saying, if people are boycotting, in fact, the Cameroonians should know that these elections, if government arrogantly goes ahead, it's not the election of the people, and so will not represent the people. For any right-thinking Cameroonian, stay at home on that day, don't go out to vote anybody. We are calling on those political parties who have been clamoring for a coalition. This is a coalition in another form. To tell them that rest in your political party. Take the decision there not to go in for this election. Because the election, the problems that we suffered, they too suffered. Except for those who are itching to go, who went and compromised themselves with the ruling class in order to legitimate the killings, the burning, the destruction that is going on in the northwest and southwest region. And then the maintaining an illegal arrest of Cameroonians of the north and south region in the dungeons. That is the message. If they go in for this election, that is the message they are telling Cameroonians. And any Cameroonian who think that those who went for the election are right is only saying equally that they are happy that they have burned houses in the northwest. They are happy that they have killed people in the northwest. They are happy that they have destroyed the properties of people in the northwest. They are happy that people have escaped and they are suffering in the bushes, in the forest, and they are happy that people are in foreign lands suffering as refugees. Happy that they should not be a northwest and southwest region. So therefore, that is what they are telling Cameroon. But the Cameroonian movement says it's not going to participate in that ideology. Any attempt for us to go for any election is to compromise the fact that we don't care if people die in the northwest, southwest. We don't care if they have burnt their houses. Last week I was in the southwest, they burnt a house in Mowo bar with properties inside. They came first, seized out bottles and crates of beer and packed in their cars. Soldiers burnt out that place. The person came crying to me in the morning. Say, look at. I said, that is your special status. Because even the chiefs of the Southwest have said they are happy with the special. I said, that is the special status. We say no, because the happenings that are going on in North and Southwest is ridiculous. It's in fact painful. And that any right-thinking Cameroonian should make sure to sanction this government is not to go and vote. Don't yield to their cry of voting, because you will be legitimizing an illegitimate action. Okay. Now, if you see and you have heard from Professor Maurice Kamto, it is in our communique that the best way out to solve the problem is not to go on with these twin elections as we are withdrawing and calling on Cameroonians to boycott. Some people started saying, but how will we do? What will we do? He says, no, there is a way out, because people only argue without thinking the way forward. So he put the way forward to Cameroonians. First, before Parliament was convened, that the way out to come out of this election that has been marred with a lot of fraud, a lot of mishaps, is to table a bill in Parliament, requesting Parliament to postpone these twin elections so that an all-inclusive dialogue and all the other conditions, the withdrawal of troops from the Northwest and Southwest, the revision of the Electoral Code, even the Constitution should be done. Those are instruments that are done through Parliament. The postponement of the election can be done through Parliament. It's feasible. He had already announced it in a communique and a press conference. Number two, when Parliament was convened, Professor Maurice Kamto again went on Vision 24, France 24, to announce that the way forward is for the pending Parliament now sitting to clamor for a postponement of the election. That is a way out to avoid the crisis that will erupt between separatists in the Northwest and Southwest, Cameroonians in the other 8 regions, as against the action of going by force, arrogantly, into the twin election where political parties have boycotted. So that was a proposal, and it is legitimate, it is correct. There is no other way to postpone the election if you don't pass through Parliament.